Welcome, dear ones. I am Sonia, the host of the Treasures You podcast. Realizing that consciousness is emerging, its infrastructure network of illusion. We are the architects, spiraling in our own legacy throughout the infinity, bearing witness, reflecting, and visualizing this unadulterated existence into a manifested reality. Life is infinite, and so are you. And this is the treasure is you. Hello, dear ones. How are you doing? I hope you are enjoying your day. And as you can see, I have a lovely guest on the Treasures You podcast. And first, I would like to give a brief description of her. She is a gifted, intuitive counselor, coach, and a clairvoyant medium. She started her spiritual journey at the tender age of 11 in search of God and the angels, visiting multiple churches and places of worship by herself, even though she was not raised in a spiritual or religious family. She had an extraordinary, transcendental, out of body experience on the top of a cliff at the age of 15, which changed her concept of the world and what lies beyond it forever. So I welcome Laura. I want to just first say that I went on your website, and let me tell you, that image on your home screen spoke to me. I absolutely love that image. It spoke to me. And then and then your site spirit speaks to me. I love it. Absolutely. Can you share when you were 15, share a little bit about that experience that you had?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it was really an amazing experience. I had been taking some classes in climbing and rappelling.
Mm-hmm.
And we were up at the top we had climbed up the cliff and we were at the top and we were ready to start rappelling down. And we were just taking a rest break and I was just standing quite close to the edge of the cliff. And it was a fabulous, fabulous view. They could see for miles and miles, and it was up in a big, what you would call a state park, what we call a provincial park in northern Ontario. And it was just looking out on miles and miles of lakes and rivers and trees and no habitation, no people. Okay. So it was a wonderful view. And all of a sudden I started feeling very, very strange. And it was like I shot literally everything that was me energetically shot out of my body. And I all of a sudden I found myself looking down on this scene, looking down on all these lakes and trees, and I could see my other companions and instructors on top of the cliff. And I thought, wow, what is this all about? And I sort of paused there for a few moments and was just sort of getting my bearings, shall we say. And then all of a sudden I felt another rush of this extreme energy. And all of a sudden I just shot up again. And this time I found myself in outer space, just outside the Earth. And I was actually seeing like the astronauts, all those pictures when we were
Yeah.
kids, they showed us
Yeah.
of the astronauts looking down at the Earth. And that's what I was seeing. And I was like, oh my God. And there
Wow.
was no fear. There was no nothing. It was actually more excitement and
Mm-hmm.
curiosity and wonder and awe. Like
Mm-hmm.
just, and
Yeah.
that was what made me understand what the astronauts were talking about when, they said how that view of the Earth from above the Earth just changed them forever. And I thought, wow, okay, I was like, what's going to happen next? And then all of a sudden, again, I felt this powerful flow of energy and I shot right up again. I'm just using up as a direction because it's hard to describe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was outside of our solar system. I was literally looking at our solar system. And actually, I was beyond that. I was, because I was also seeing like other galaxies, spiral galaxies and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like right out in space somewhere. And
Right.
I had a little bit of time there, and I was just like in awe of that. And I was just thinking about, oh my God, what's going to happen next? And
Right.
just at that point, I felt this, it was almost like literally somebody reached out and grabbed me. Giant's hands grabbed me
Uh-huh.
and just pulled me back. And it was like in a millisecond. It was
Mm-hmm.
so fast. It was like I slammed back into my, literally slammed back into my body. And at that
Mm.
point, it was, there was some fear. It was very uncomfortable because I had been so expanded. I felt like I was limitless. Okay, that I was
Right.
huge, that I was limitless, that I was just energy. And I
Mm-hmm.
found out when I sort of came to, because it took me a few minutes to kind of realize that I was actually back in my body and I was looking out on the scene that I had been looking out just, well, I don't know how. Time is a strange thing, and I couldn't tell you how long this experience was. It seemed quite long to me,
Mm-hmm.
but in essence, when I talked to the other people who were there watching me, which I didn't know, it was only a matter of like a minute or so. Okay. Because what had
Mm.
happened is one of the instructors had gotten very nervous about me standing so close to the edge of the cliff. And he literally grabbed the back of my pants and literally
Mm.
yanked me back, physically yanked me back from the side of the cliff. And I think it was in that moment that my energy was just pulled right back into my body. So it was a very, it was an incredible experience because it made me just feel the freedom and the awesomeness and the expansion that we truly are as spiritual
Right.
beings. And what the
Right.
difference between that and what it was like being in our physical bodies. That was, it was like black and white. It was like a totally different experience. And it
Mm-hmm.
took me several days to recover from that. I think it took me several days just to fully kind of re-enter my body and get used to being, because it was very confining. It felt almost especially at the beginning, it felt like being imprisoned,
Mm.
because before I had felt so expanded and so free. And so it was a very, very interesting experience. And later on, somebody had tried to tell me there's a condition that's called climber's euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens, this is a real psychological thing, and it happens to some people in high places. And they actually think they can fly or they think they can walk. And people have actually like literally walked off the edge of a cliff because they get so into this thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I researched it and I read a lot about it and I just went, no, that's not
Right.
at all what happened to me.
No.
So, you know, you can't ever convince somebody of that because they
Right.
haven't really experienced it. But
Right.
I'm absolutely sure that that is definitely not what happened to me, and it was a
Mhm.
real, true, out of body, energetic um, uh, experience, or a true epiphany, if you want to look at it that way. Okay,
Right.
so,
Right.
so it like it changed the way I thought about everything
Yeah.
for the rest of my life. So it was, and I can tell you, it was such an amazing experience that I have tried at several junctures in my life
Mm-hmm.
to recreate that experience because it was such an incredible experience. But I have never, to this point, I have
Right.
never actually been able to recreate that experience. Not
Right.
wholly.
Right.
I've
Right.
gotten sort of close,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing quite compares to that initial experience. And I probably won't. You know, I
Yeah.
probably won't. But you never know, right? You
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
know.
You definitely never know. I just think that's incredible. You were 15 to experience that, because all of us, we're all on a journey and we're going through our unique journeys. And that right there, for sure, is like memorable. And I'm trying to think of a word. It is
I know it's hard
very,
to put into words.
yeah, it's like, it's a profound, that's it for me. It's a profound moment in time that you will never forget.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So yeah, I just think that that's just, I like to say, beautiful. It's beautiful that you experienced that. And a lot of people do not understand it because they haven't experienced it, right?
I think it's fundamental that people, I that you know that to me is the difference between religion and spirituality. Because
Yeah.
religion is counting on other people's experiences,
Right.
okay? And
Mhm.
spirituality really is your own
Mhm.
experience with, and I don't even care what you want to call it, with
Right.
God, with spirit, with the angels,
Right.
whatever floats your boat, as I
Mhm.
always say, because
Yep.
it's always the same energy. And that's how I know, because I have clients from all different faiths, from no
Right.
faiths, from spiritual clients, you know, uh, everybody from all kinds of different belief systems, and
Right.
some people that don't believe anything at all. Like I've had
Mhm.
people that were, I don't know what you would call them, totally disbelieving of anything spiritual or
Right.
religious or in any way.
Mhm.
And after working with me, they kind of changed their mind because
Yeah.
I'm not saying I totally changed their belief system, but let's say it opened their mind to the
Right.
possibilities. Okay.
Right.
And that's, that in itself is, I feel like I've done a wonderful thing if I can simply open people's minds to possibilities. Because
Yeah.
that's what we all need. We get stuck in our own little boxes
Mhm.
sometimes, regardless of our belief system.
Right.
And I think what spirit really wants us to do, and what spirituality is really about, is to get out of that box and at least look at the possibilities.
Yes. That are limitless.
Exactly.
Yes. So I think that's phenomenal because you get to speak to, as you said, people from all walks of life,
Hmm.
some that are religious, some that are spiritual, some that are, they have no type of belief. At least they think they don't. They have to have some kind of belief, but they just don't know what it is.
Yes,
So it all comes back to the source, right? It all comes
exactly.
back to the source and to whatever you perceive it to be. So I just think that's a great thing to be able to communicate with people, and you're helping them, you're helping them to heal something deep within that they weren't aware of. It's just, I think you're doing a good job for our world because we need that. We need that so desperately. Yeah.
Well, I think, and especially now in these times, like,
Mhm.
that's what my guides and angels are always, you know, underscoring for me, is that we need to open our minds and we need to look to something beyond our everyday world. Because
Right.
that's when, let's face it, if we're totally, this is life, this is the earth, and that's all there is to it. um it really doesn't make us value. I think when we start looking at incredible awesomeness, I love that, incredible awesomeness of
Yes.
spirit and the limitless idea of what's around us,
Mhm.
um, then we tend to value everything much, much more. And I think that's what
Mhm.
our world needs. Because then we value ourselves as individuals. We value other people as
Mhm.
wonderful spiritual beings. We value animals. We value the
Mhm.
earth. All the wonderful creations, and nature, and we want to protect things. But when we're not doing that, I don't think it's as easy to value those things in the way that we need to, in order to
Right.
make changes. Not only make changes within ourselves, changes in the way that we deal with other people,
Mhm.
and changes in the way that we deal with Mother Earth. And that's, when we talk about healing, we talk about healing the people, we talk about healing the planet, we talk about healing ourselves. I think that's what's really necessary
Yes.
to put that into action.
Mhm. Absolutely. I also, I 100% agree with you on that. A lot of people that are helping, they don't even know that they're helping. Like some people are just so genuinely loving and compassionate,
Yeah.
and just helping a stranger, smiling at somebody. All of that is a part of healing, because you may have helped a person by just smiling at them. They may have been having a bad day, and that simple smile might change the course of their day. So something as simple as that. So that's what I mean. Like, some people don't know that they are helping other people by just being in a
Yeah.
loving way.
Yes, and I call those earth angels. Okay.
Yes.
'Cause we can all be our own earth angel. And like you said, this is why it's so important to become more aware, to become more
Hmm.
mindful of things like that. Because
Hmm.
you don't know what's going on with that person. Like maybe just even holding a door open for somebody.
Yes.
Maybe that makes them feel cared for or valued or
Hmm.
whatever. And maybe
Yeah.
that person is having a really hard time. Like, maybe that person is actually thinking of harming themselves. And a kind
Exactly.
word or a smile, that can just turn their whole, when somebody is so, I always say people don't really understand what suicide really is. Like people
Hmm.
think that it is people wanting to kill themselves. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a throat thing go on here. But suicide has nothing to do with wanting to kill yourself.
Right.
It's all about wanting the pain to stop. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't
Yes.
understand. And when people commit suicide or contemplate committing suicide, it's really about wanting the pain to stop. It's not really about wanting to die.
Right.
It's things have gotten so bad for them that they believe that the only way to stop the pain is for them to die, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
that kind of rests on the head of a pin, because sometimes all it takes is for some stranger to do something, some little thing, like you said, even just smiling at them
Hmm.
for no reason, and that can sort of change their whole focus. It can kind of go, oh well, maybe the world isn't so bad, and maybe there
Right.
are actually people who really care about me, and maybe that's enough to keep them going
Right.
for another day. And I always
Right.
say another day is another opportunity, because
Yeah.
every day is an opportunity to change your life. So if you
Yes.
even give somebody the gift of another day, you could be changing or saving their life,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know,
Yes,
because,
absolutely.
you know,
Yeah, I agree with you. That's what I mean. A lot of people are unaware that they are
exactly.
helping other people. I mean, I have some people, some friends and some family members that they just naturally, they're givers,
Hmm.
and they give, and they, in my opinion, some of them give too much, but
Yes.
yeah, and sometimes I fall into that category as well. I have to catch myself. But yeah, they're just natural givers. They want to make sure that the person is safe and that they have everything. And I believe, which I'm being told from my higher self, that we have that on the planet to help people. Like, everybody in our lives is a teacher to help
Yeah.
us, and we kind of like intertwine back and forth, like the role. You could be a teacher, at one moment you could be the student, you know like children are great teachers. They teach their parents, and we go back and forth. But if you're not open, like we said earlier, if you're not open, then you
Yes.
can't receive that, whatever it is, healing, wisdom, whatever it is that you need. But every person in our life is here to teach you something. And if you missed it from that person, then another
Mhm.
person's going to come around and teach you what you missed. And then you'll go, oh, I got it now, right? It's like an aha moment. Oh, I got
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
then I just think, for me, like where I'm at in my life right now is so magical, because like you and I are having this conversation, and I'm excited talking to you, because I resonate with a lot of what you are putting out into the world and helping, people, humanity, people that are lost, and people who want some direction so they can connect to their own, divine essence that's going to help them open up more, open their heart more.
Yeah,
So,
that's the thing too, because a lot of people think, oh, to come and see me, you've got to be having some problems or something like that. That's not the case. Yes, definitely, I help people to
mm-hmm,
overcome and heal certain issues or problems in their life, but it's also about growing. Like you can
mm-hmm,
be hurt, like you were just saying, like you're feeling really good in your life right now,
mm-hmm.
and you're in a really good space. Well, that doesn't mean that you can't benefit from some counseling or some spiritual counseling or coaching. That
Right,
just it's helping people reach that next level too. That
right.
that's a huge part of my job. Yes, a big part of it is helping people to find direction and clarity and things like that, but it's also to help them go to the next level, to help them raise their vibrations, help them. It's kind of like I always tell people we never stop growing. Okay. Even when we're on the other side, we never stop growing. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
And that's what people
mm-hmm.
don't realize. But the reason we're here on Earth is because there's so many challenges on Earth that we grow much faster. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why everybody wants to get into Planet Schoolhouse Earth, because
Mm-hmm,
we can evolve our soul so much more quickly than we can
mm-hmm.
on the other side, because on the other side everything's pretty chill.
Right.
We're still evolving, we're just evolving at a different rate, and we never.
Okay.
What I've been shown over and over again is we never stop. Like this is a, people think, oh, I'm done, or we're going to reach ascension and we're going to be done. Well, no.
Nope. No.
That's not what happens. And
Yeah.
actually, I'm
Yeah.
being guided to talk about that a little bit, because there's a
Yeah.
real about ascension,
Yes.
because there's a lot of misconceptions about what ascension it really is.
Okay.
People think we're going to ascend and we're going to leave and we're going to go somewhere else. That's
Mm.
really not what ascension is about. Really, it's really about bringing our essence, our being, our spirit to the highest possible vibrational level while we're
Mhm.
in the body. That's why we're here, and that's really what we're talking about when we talk about ascension,
Mhm.
is maximizing your vibration while still being here on planet Earth. It's not about going anywhere else. It's
Right.
really about maximizing your vibration here on Earth, and it's about reaching kind of the state that we were in the beginning. Okay, because when
Mhm. Yes.
we first came to Earth, wait, thousands and thousands eons ago, actually, but
Mhm.
we won't go
Yeah.
down that rabbit hole right now. Okay, we were physical, but we were not physical in the sense that we are now. We were much more in our light bodies. We were much more an energetic being, and
Right.
slowly, our vibrations fell and fell, and we became more and more solid. And even if you know anything about physics at all, okay, kind of came from a scientific background too.
Uh-huh.
We're actually, if you look at us on an atomic level, we're actually really not solid. There's more space in us than there actually is solidity. Okay.
Right.
So even
Yes.
though we appear solid and everything around us, desks and chairs and all that, appears to be solid, it's actually not. Okay. We are much more solid than we were in the beginning. And what
Right.
I feel is the progress that we're doing now is going back to that. Okay. It's like a loop. Like everything
Right.
spiritual to me is like it's a circle within circles within circles. So what
Yes.
we're doing now is we're coming from the dense physical bodies that we have now, and we're becoming lighter and lighter and lighter as we raise our vibration. And we're sort of the end game is to get back to those physical. I call them physical bodies of light. Okay,
Yeah.
because once you get past that point, you can't be on Earth anymore, because the Earth is a physical realm. Okay,
Right.
so you get to a certain point. It's like when you cross over, okay, your spiritual energy, your soul, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, leaves the physical body and goes on to the other side. Well, it's almost like that, but it's just that we can be in our light bodies, but we still have to be physical in order to stay here, or else we
Right.
just transition to the other side. Okay, but
Right.
that to me is what we're headed for. Now, I
Mhm.
can tell you right now, we're not going to reach it that level in this particular
Lifetime.
lifetime. But
Right.
I don't think it's as far off as people think it is,
Right.
because time and this progression has speeded up so much, and in
Mhm.
case you haven't noticed, okay,
Yes.
and time
Yeah,
just
definitely.
keeps. Well, I've been shown by my guides that this next 6 years between now and 2030 is a
Mm-hmm.
very, very pivotal time. And what
Mm-hmm.
they showed me is when we are looking back, when we're at, say, this time in 2030, and we
Yeah.
look back, that there is actually going, we won't even recognize in a lot of ways
Really?
the Earth in 2030
Wow.
because it will be have so changed. And what they told me, which was really hard to kind of wrap my brain around when they told me, was that we're going to change more in the next 6 years than we have in the last 300.
Whoa.
I
Now
know.
that's
So that's pretty,
profound.
yeah, that's pretty mind boggling. And if you
Wow.
really look at it, most of the change on Earth has actually happened in the last 100 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that is even more phenomenal when you look at all the change that's happened in the last 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be 3 times that much. Okay. In the
Yeah.
span of only 6 years. So,
Yeah.
you know, I just kind of go, yeah, okay, I accept that, but I can't even, I don't think our physical brains are capable of even understanding that at this point.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
we can understand it more. We can feel through it as opposed to thinking through it. We
Mm-hmm.
can feel
Mm-hmm.
through that with our hearts, which is very
Mhm.
different.
So would you say, like right now, this time that we're in, are we in a new cycle?
Well,
Uh,
yes, definitely. We're in that we are now fully into the Aquarian age, which they
right.
always used to, they've been singing about and talking about pretty
Yeah.
much since the 60s, okay?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have now entered that. And I think
Yes.
by 2030, we're going to really, we are feeling the energies already. But I think
Mhm.
what they're talking about is by 2030, we are really going to be stuck in, basically,
Yes.
to
We're
that
like
new.
solidifying that in that reality,
Yeah,
right?
there's
Yes.
going to be a lot more of the reality that we can actually see on Earth, that we can see around us. Instead of just kind of feeling into it, I think it's
Mhm.
going to be very, very obvious. I think there's going to be sweeping changes in a lot of things. How
Yes.
we relate to the Earth, how we relate to each other,
Right.
our systems of governance.
Mhm.
People talk about the monasteries, all those things I think are going to change in some very mind-boggling way. I don't even think that, like I said, that we can actually envision it at this point.
Right.
It's fun to think about that stuff, but I'm
Mm.
always encouraging people to stay grounded in the here and now. Okay.
Yes.
We need to be present in our lives. And
Yes.
it's fun to think about those things and imagine what it could be like. But the most important thing that we could do to help that happen is to stay very grounded and centered in the present in our lives right now.
Right. Yes. I agree. Definitely. We have to. We have to show up. We have to show up
Exactly.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to
Yeah.
show up for ourselves. And like we've been talking about, we also have to show up for other people
Mhm.
because everybody's at different levels. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's walking their own path. There's,
Yeah.
all these different paths to up the mountain, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
and everybody's doing it in their own way. Um, and so we have to be showing up for ourselves and for each other in order to help each other along the way. And I don't think there's anybody, I always kind of cringe a little bit when I hear people talking about, I'm totally hooked in, I don't need anybody, blah, blah, blah. As soon as I start hearing that kind of talk, I start thinking, okay, this is somebody that's having some ego issues. The
Mhm.
ego, they're too far into their ego and they're
Mhm.
not really connected
Right.
in the way that they should be. Because when you are, you know that you're only part of the whole, and you can't, regardless of how advanced you are, you can't do it all by yourself.
Nope.
I always tell people that, like, I
Mm.
can get so much incredible information and things and connections for other people, but there's
Mhm.
times in my life where I get in my own way, and I have to say, I have my own healers and my own guides and my own people that I rely on to
Right.
help me through this journey.
Right.
So,
Yes.
there's when I see people standing up rah going, I don't need this, I don't need that, I can do it all myself, and blah 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 blah. and you can't teach me anything. I actually had somebody tell me this the other day, or text this to me. You can't teach me anything. And I'm like, okay. Because immediately I know that that person has closed themselves off
Yes.
and gotten too far into their ego. And sometimes we all do this. But
Yeah.
that becomes a very closed loop. And if you do that, that takes you out of the unity, that takes you out of the whole, and
Right.
that actually retards your program.
I wanted to ask you, your clients, do you see a pattern of clients with that come to you for like certain things?
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't know about actually no. That's a
No, okay.
simple answer because there's all different. Like I said, I think it's because there's so many people at different levels and so many people needing different things.
Mhm.
There's definitely some common themes,
Yes.
but everybody tends to come to, and I do different kinds of work too. My spiritual counseling is one area. My intuitive coaching is another area.
Mhm.
And then I also do my mediumship, which is another area. Like the mediumship is really about, I'm not so much an evidentiary medium, which means, shooting facts at people.
Right.
Evidentiary mediums tend to be more, their sort of intention is more about proving that there's life after death. That's
Mm.
kind of more of their um, intention, their energy.
Mhm.
With my mediumship is more about helping people heal, helping
Mm.
people heal from grief. Yes, about letting them know that there's more than just this physical life, but that's
Mhm.
not the real crux of what I do in my mediumship sessions. It's more about helping people to get to know that their loved ones are doing just fine, and also
Uh-huh.
to deliver messages from their loved ones that they need to hear,
Right.
guidance, and sometimes it's just a message of love and healing. There's all
Mhm.
kinds of different messages to come through, but that's one area. Now, my
Right.
spiritual counseling is really, I always say it's helping people to make their lives work. Okay,
Right.
on whatever level that may be. Okay, and
Mhm.
those are my private sessions. Now, the intuitive coaching is more about. It's not the same. It's the same principle as traditional coaching, but it's very very different than traditional coaching because
Mhm.
what it is working directly with spirit. Okay, and spirit has a tendency to go, well, not a tendency, they do this all the time. This is their purpose. They go to the root of the problem. Okay. And it doesn't matter whether the roots of the particular issues are in this particular lifetime or in another lifetime. Okay. They
Right.
will go in and they will suss out and help people to deal with whatever those issues are. I find that traditional counseling tends to deal more with what I call symptoms,
Right.
dealing with these symptoms and basically what I call band-aid stuff. And
Yes.
it's not knocking because people get value out of it as well.
Mhm.
But well, I'll give you, kind of a quote that I've had from several different people in different words. But
Okay.
basically, what they've said to me in terms of my intuitive coaching is that they've gotten more out of, well, I've had people say this about just the private sessions too, my spiritual counseling sessions, that they've
Mhm.
gotten more out of one or two sessions with me than they have out of months or years of traditional therapy or
Right.
coaching. Okay. So
Yeah.
this is what I love about spirit. And I'm not taking on the responsibility for that. I'm giving all that credit to spirit. And
Right.
that's, because whenever I'm speaking with people, we're speaking as a united voice. We're speaking
Right.
at my guides, my angels, source, whoever happens to show up that day, who's ever needed for that particular person. I'm
Mhm.
simply a radio station broadcasting
Yes.
that
Yes.
information. Okay. And like
Yeah.
in mediumship, I always tell people they don't realize this. Mediumship's a bit different. Mediums are really antennae. Okay.
Yeah.
We're an antennae and
Mhm.
we can receive those messages, but people on the other side, we don't go out and grab them. Okay. And say, come speak with us. Okay. They have to initiate that contact. They are the ones speaking to us. This is
Right.
why when you do a mediumship session, you never know who's going to show up. The person that particular client most wants to speak to, that might not be the person that shows up.
Mm-hmm.
But what I tell people all the time is whoever shows up for you is the person that you need.
Right. Yeah.
Or also, a lot of times people can show up in souls on the other side can show up in a group, and
Mm-hmm.
one soul will speak for that whole group. So it's
Right.
very different. Okay. It's not
Yes.
like, it's not like us on earth, because they're all energy and they can join together and they can speak with one voice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's hard to explain, and it's because we really don't have the language to really explain it, honestly. But
Right.
the energetic workings are very, very different than the way that our world works here in this 3D, moving towards the 5D world. Even the 5D world is not like the other side, okay? Even if
Right.
we were sitting in a perfect 5D world right now, it wouldn't be the same.
Wow. You're at least, helping other people to have some direction in their lives, and you're
Mhm.
helping them to tune into their own essence and learning about themselves, correct? Kind of? Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's,
Yeah.
that's the thing that spirit always underlines to me, that
Yes.
their purpose is to help us to trust ourselves and trust our own
Yes.
intuition and our own
Yes.
guidance. They don't ever want us to be dependent on them. A
Right.
lot of what spirit does is provide, but a
Mhm.
huge part of it is to provide confirmation. Okay, because
Yes.
so many times we will get nudges, we will get intuitions, gut feelings. I don't care what you call them. Okay,
Mhm.
messages, but we won't trust them. We'll poo poo them, or we'll say,
Yeah.
oh, that's just my wishful thinking, or that's just my imagination.
Right.
And in order to develop our own gifts, we often need that kind of confirmation. And a lot of times, that's what people will come for, whether they realize it or not. Um,
Right.
they're coming not only for direction and clarification, they're coming for confirmation. And those probably are
Mhm.
the three biggies. Direction,
Mhm.
clarification, and confirmation are huge things that people, both in individual sessions and
Mhm.
also in my intuitive counseling program, which I call Create the Life That You Really Want.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. Because that's
That's
what we all want to do,
yeah.
and that's what,
Yeah.
see, the thing, I guess the thing that I think that I really help to do is help people to get in deeper contact with what I call their authentic self. Okay.
Right.
And the authentic self is who, before we come into each lifetime, we plan our lifetime out on the other side. Okay. We plan on who our friends are going to be, who our spouses, our children, all that. And we make
Yes.
agreements with them. Some people like to call them contracts. You know what? I prefer to call them agreements. But those agreements are to facilitate, like we talked about earlier,
Mhm.
lessons for each other. It's always a
Mhm.
reciprocal. Spirit is always a reciprocal thing. Okay.
Yes.
And that's what I see as one of the biggest parts of my work, is to help people to get that deeper connection with who they really wanted to be in this particular lifetime, before they were brainwashed into thinking what they should be. Okay. And that's
Mhm.
by family, that's by religions, that's by
Mhm.
cultures, schools, media, everything.
Everything.
Everything brainwashes us and tells us
Yes.
who we should be, instead of helping us become who we really are in our
Exactly.
authentic way. And that is, I think, one of the biggest changes that's going to come about when we were talking about 2030. I think
Mhm.
there's going to be a huge amount of energy that's going to be providing. I'm not sure how it's going to happen exactly, but
Mhm.
it's going to provide an environment where people, and especially the children coming
Yeah.
in,
Yes.
can actually keep that whole idea of the authentic self. They can keep that idea of mission of who they really are. And I think you already see that coming through in a
Yes.
lot of the young people now. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's not like we have to get to middle age and then relearn all this stuff and scrape off, all the crap that we've been told and brainwashed into, and find ourselves. Okay. I
Mhm.
think
Mhm.
what's going to happen in the future is that all that brainwashing and all that, those layers of muck that we kind of get piled on top of it, isn't going to happen. So that we're
Right.
going to be right from the get go, we're going to be able to stay in that authentic self state.
Right.
Okay, and grow from that point instead of having to redo all this stuff. And like I said, scraping off the muck to get
Right.
down to who we really always were and always wanted to be in this particular
Mhm.
life.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna ask you a question because we're gonna be rounding up this podcast, but I wanted
Okay.
you to share with the viewers and the listeners maybe a simple practice or some baby steps that they can take to help them on that process of becoming their authentic self. Like, what's a basic thing that you can, give some advice to people?
I get asked
And
that question a lot. Okay.
really?
Yeah, it's a really good question.
Mhm.
And the answer is always the same.
Yeah.
Honestly, the best practice that you can get into to help you to connect more deeply with yourself, your authentic self, and also others, okay, which is a
Yes.
part of that process, is meditation.
There you go.
Okay. Is
Mhm.
starting a true meditation process. And
Mhm.
people see, people have, they get spooked, or they don't understand what a meditation practice really is. Okay.
Mhm.
A meditation practice is not about doing it to, meditating for an hour or 2 hours, 2 or 3 times a week. Okay. It's not about the length of time you meditate. It's about the consistency. Okay.
Yes.
The biggest thing about meditation is consistency. And what I say to people is, even if you're starting with like 10 or 15 minutes, do it every single day. Okay. Every
Everything.
single day. Make it a part of your life. Okay.
Yes.
That's why it's called a practice. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And make
Mhm.
it part of your life. And what I suggest to people is the best time to do it is first thing in the morning,
Mhm.
when you wake up. Okay.
Mhm.
Because what that does is it sets your energy for the whole day. Okay.
Yes.
And then the second best time, if you need a follow up time, or if you're having any sleep issues at all, and most people these days are having a lot of sleep issues, is
Mhm.
meditating right before you go to sleep. Okay,
Yeah.
because you're already kind of on that downward. Your brain is already gearing down, and when you're meditating before you go to sleep, you only really need 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, if you can do more,
Mhm.
great. What I recommend to build up to is half an hour in the morning, and maybe like 10, 10, 5, 10, 15 minutes before you go to sleep. Okay.
Right.
And if you're doing this every day, it has a cumulative effect. Okay. And the
Mhm.
reason I say that meditation is so important for connecting to your authentic self is because it covers all four pillars. Covers physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, all at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. And those
Mhm.
are all things that you need to build that connection and that relationship with yourself. And as I said, that expands to other people. Okay.
Right.
Now, you don't have to sit to meditate. Okay. This is another myth. You can
Mhm.
lie down and do all your meditation. I do all my meditation lying down because it works the best for me and my body. Okay.
Mhm.
If you happen to be one of those people that dozes off, all you have to do is lift your knees up, put your feet on the bed or the couch or the floor, wherever you're
Right.
lying down, and that usually solves that problem. Okay.
Right.
And if you have problems, there's all kinds of wonderful apps out there. I'm going
Yeah.
to do a little quickie commercial. Balance is great, Calm is great,
Yeah.
Headspace is great, and those are three that I will talk about because I use all three of them myself. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
So guided meditation is super great, and it takes no effort, and you can do it wherever you are. This is one of the wonderful things about our devices. You have all that stuff on your smartphone. You can do it in your lunch break at work if you want. If you happen to miss it, or you're having a really stressful day, okay, you can
Mhm.
do a little 5-10 minute meditation,
Yeah,
because
of
that
course.
is what's going to get you the the most results in the fewest amount of time.
Right.
And also, okay, people think meditation is about being a good meditator, okay, or about becoming a good meditator. It's not, okay? Meditation is about bringing the skills that you learn in meditation to your everyday life. And that's
Absolutely.
why meditation is wonderful. It's not about becoming an expert meditator, it's about
No.
building those qualities and those things that you build through meditation: concentration, focus,
Mhm.
relaxation, all the wonderful things that you build. Physical, there's a lot of, this is documented. I'm not going to go all into this, but documented physical wellness things that happen through meditation. So
Mhm.
it's a wonderful practice, and it's easy. Anybody can do it at any age. And honestly, I love that there are some schools now that are actually teaching meditation in the
Yeah,
schools.
that is
And I see that, and it
phenomenal.
just makes my
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah, me too as well.
It's
So
wonderful.
it is wonderful. So I'm going to again to ask you to say your website and any, other things that you want to say, like your website.
You can reach me on my website at www.spiritspeaks2.me. You can also find me both on my private page and my group page on Facebook, which is Spirit Speaks to Me on Facebook. Okay. And I'm
Mhm.
also on Instagram. I've gotten more into Instagram now. And I'm on Instagram under Hoorweg Laura. So just reverse my
Okay.
name and you'll find me, no problem.
Okay.
And the best way, if you want more information, you want to get in touch with me, honestly, the best way is to email me. And you can email me at laurahoorweg at gmail.com. And that is on both my website and my Facebook pages. So it's not hard to get a hold of me. Or if you join my group on Facebook, which is now, I think, well over 8,000 people,
Wow.
8,000 members, you can direct message me on Facebook as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. So, okay, dear ones, going to end it up here. But as I always say, enjoy the present moment, enjoy what you're doing today, and always remember that the treasure is you. Take care and namaste.
Namaste.